Hey, welcome everybody. If it's Wednesday and it's noon, this must be our Inspyrd Talks. We're so excited to be here today. And the purpose of today's talks is to just reflect upon what we've done in the last 3 months since we started this talk and talk about what's coming up in the future. So I'm so glad that people are here and taking the time out of their day to do this. This will be a shorter talk. Normally when we do an interview, it goes 30, 45, sometimes an hour. But today we'll keep it short, probably 15 or 20 minutes. It has been a blast doing the Inspyrd Talks. I used to do an evening session. I've tried all sorts of things, but this Wednesday at noon has been so much fun. And we've done 12 episodes now. This is episode 13. And the first 6 episodes were on trauma, specifically how I conceptualize trauma. And I conceptualize trauma in a framework called the 7 T's of trauma. And the 7 T's of trauma are the tragedy, that thing that befalls a person before they're traumatized. And then we talk about the theft, because trauma is a thief. Trauma steals from people. The first thing is it steals is your ability to sleep. After that, it starts stealing everything. It cannot ultimately take a person's life. So it is a massive thief. The third T of trauma is torment. When a person is traumatized and they're not sleeping, they're mentally tormented. They won't be able to concentrate. They won't be able to think clearly. They'll be hyper aware, hyper vigilant. Their flash to bang time, how fast they react negatively to situations, will be so short. And this is mentally tormenting. And when you're mentally tormented, relationships start to fray. Relationships start to break. And often this is the place where trauma steals our families. They steal our friends. They can steal our career when we're mentally tormented. Then the fourth T is torture. If trauma goes on long enough unresolved, we start getting physical manifestations, physical symptoms of being traumatized. And Gabor Mate, the famous doctor from Vancouver, says in his book of The Myth of Normal, all mental and physical disease are a result of unresolved trauma. And he goes further to say anything chronic is a result of unresolved trauma. So chronic pain, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, you name something chronic. All right. The fifth T of trauma is tenacity. If you're going to overcome trauma, you have to be tenacious. The system's broken. The system's enabling. The system helps keep us stuck. It keeps us hooked on drugs that don't work. There's not a single drug in the world that heals trauma. It keeps us stuck in so many places. So a person has to be tenacious to find their way to a healing modality to overcome their trauma. The sixth T of trauma is treatment. Now we're in a place and time where trauma interventions have come along so far that we now know that there are modalities available, and there's lots of them. You know, that you don't have to get stuck in any one Kool-Aid, but there's lots of modalities that have over 90% success rate with no recurrence. And the reason all those modalities work, to the best of my knowledge, is a little observed phenomenon called visual spatial tasking of the short-term working memory. So if you want to call me or book a consult and talk about your trauma and how to find a clinician who knows this valuable information, there's a link in the show notes. So just go down there. There's a link in the show notes and you can book a free consult. I love talking to people who want to heal their trauma because I know it's possible, right? And the seventh T of trauma is triumph, because people heal from trauma. Trauma is an injury that can heal. You know, PTSD is a disorder. It's something created by doctors so they can understand what's going on for you and they can prescribe medications, right? But you've been traumatized, and that trauma has created an injury in your nervous system. Your nervous system is overreacting. And just like a cut or a broken arm or a broken leg, injuries heal. So trauma is an injury that can heal. And I have hundreds and hundreds of stories of people who have healed. The research says thousands and thousands of people can heal, and you can heal too. So then we made a transition. I love training people on how to work with others, how to create a healing space, how to be a support mechanism. So we started interviewing coaches who heal and work and solve problems for others. So we've had 6 coach interviews. I think it's such a powerful thing, instead of having me talk on and on and on and on all the time, to actually bring in a coach who's living that life, who helps others, makes a living, loves their job, works with passion. And the first coach we had was James Elliott. Now, James is a peer of mine, hell of a nice guy, and he works with people who want to be unstoppable. He works with small to medium-sized entrepreneurs that want to make a difference in the world. And James's story goes from being bullied to being brilliant. And it's a really great story. I encourage you to go back and listen to James talk about being that kid who was bullied, the negative impact that's had on him, where he is today, and how he helps others. Very, very inspiring. Our second interview, it breaks my heart that this person had to have cancer twice. It fills my heart with joy and inspiration that she defeated cancer twice. Her name is Angela Vanderwood. She's nothing but a superhero. I would really encourage you to watch her interview, Courage Defeats Cancer. Yeah, you know, I've got a client named Shane. I've always given Shane superhero status. Angela has superhero status in my eyes as well. She never gives up. She always stands up. She's just a pure inspiration. Our third interview was with Larissa McCouch. Now, Larissa is a powerhouse. She wrote the book, Stop Procrastinating Your Life Away. Her story is turning procrastination into purpose. This is a woman who is alive, vibrant, hard to keep up to. She's so energetic. So I really encourage you to listen to her message. And if you're a procrastinator, stop it. Listen to Larissa. Don't procrastinate listening to Larissa. Go do it now, right? Our fourth interview was Suzanne Longstreet. Now, she's billed as the millionaire maker. She works with female entrepreneurs who are stuck. You know, they're successful by any measure. They have a relationship, they have a house, they have the toys, they have a small to medium-sized company, but they're stuck and they know something ain't right. And those are Suzanne's clients. And she takes 6-digit female entrepreneurs to being 7-digit female entrepreneurs. And I asked Suzanne, what's the number one thing that you do with them that creates this massive acceleration? She just laughed at me. She said, Alan, you know what it is. I said, I know what it is, but tell me, you put it in your words. She said, well, they all have some sort of trauma in their childhood or their teenage years that that created a set of belief structures that created a glass ceiling. When we heal the trauma, we break through the glass ceiling and we go. So there's that one. And then the next interview was with Tara Guzzo. Now, Tara is a naturopathic doctor turned coach, and she works with women primarily, helping women break free of self-doubt. And when you have self-doubt, it has massive impact. You might think you're not worthy of a relationship. You might think you're not worthy of a career. You may think you're not worthy of parenting. And so Tara works with women through these transitions, through these periods. And she is a brilliant practitioner. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend, if you wake up one day and you say, I don't think I can do this. That's self-doubt, right? And so take a lesson from Larissa. Don't procrastinate. Pick up the phone, book a session with Tara. Most of these, all of my coaches offer 15 to 30-minute free consultations. So, if you're up against something, the fact that you won't pick up the phone or book a session with one of these extraordinary coaches, that's on you, right? And then my sixth interview was with Renee Guy. She wrote a book on why we attract narcissists in our life. And she went through, literally, she was what you would call a serial narcissistic relationship attractor, and she has broke that cycle. She's a brilliant coach. She's trained in multiple modalities, and she helps women stop the cycle of attracting narcissistic partners. Now, there's a really important message in that. You're taking responsibility for attracting the narcissist. There's no use trying to change them. If they want to change, they'll do it on their own. What people who attract narcissists in their life need to do, is change their attraction strategy. And to do that, you got to do personal development work. There's just no way around it. All right. So I have so many takeaways from those 6 interviews. There's tons more. I love these people. Next week, we're kicking off with Carolyn Miller from Sudbury. She's boy, I want to get it right. She works postpartum and pre-pregnancy with women in that range to help women get through all of the hurdles of pregnancy and becoming a mom. And she is a brilliant practitioner. She's a nurse practitioner therapist. So highly qualified, gifted mother. You know, she's done it, been there, got a t-shirt. So I really hope you join us next Wednesday. I think as this year goes on, if I'm fortunate enough to do an interview every week with one of these spectacular, sensational coaches that make a difference, I learn so much every time I interview them. I have these aha moments. I'm almost inclined to get out of the interview, go grab my notepad and start taking action on the insights they share with me. I really encourage you to join them. If you want to be a coach, please, please, please listen to these coaches. Find a real world problem that you want to solve for other people. Become a credentialed coach or a credentialed psychotherapist, whatever you choose to do. I'm agnostic on this. I just want you to, if you want to help others and you feel you have what it takes to be a coach, then I really encourage you to step up and do that. We do a couple other things on this channel. We do book reviews. Now, why do I do book reviews? Well, I've been at it 11 years, and the cabinet behind me, can you see the cabinet behind me? It's got 500 books in it. I haven't read them all, I'm not going to lie. And even the books I do read, my wife says I never read them. I just stick my thumb in the book, I learn something, and then I use that learning. I take action on it. But there's a couple books, there's probably 20 or 30 books that have become seminal to me, books that have influenced me that I go back to all the time. And then there's books outside those books which support the books that I believe are seminal. And then there are books outside those books that refer back to the books I find seminal. So I'm doing book reviews about those books that have real meaning for people who want to be coaches or people who want to transform their lives. I love doing the book reviews. They're 60 seconds. You know, it's a book in 60 seconds. So it's a lot of fun. The second thing we do is the Dinosaur Thinking. My trusty associate's handing me my dinosaur. Here it is. This is Mac. Mac is a dinosaur. I bought Mac in 1984. You know, those people who think you're out on the bleeding edge today, I had a Mac in 1984. I made a lot of money with that Mac. They called it portable. I can barely lift it. But nobody would use it today. It's Dinosaur Thinking. So we don't do a weekly Dinosaur Thinking. We do a Dinosaur Thinking episode when the spirit moves me. And I've taken some pretty big people to task because of their thinking. I'll continue to do that. But there's just dinosaur thinking all around us. You know, and Einstein said, the more you do of what you've done, the more you'll get of what you have. And I'm telling you that the mental health care system's broken. So if we do the same thing tomorrow that we did yesterday in the mental health care field, we're just going to get more of what we've done. Who the heck wants that? I certainly don't want that. I don't think anybody who's struggling wants that. And pharmacology is not the solution to everything. All right. You know, and people have warned me not to speak too loudly about that. Puts my life at risk. I don't care. Pharmacology is not the solution to everything. A lot of our psycho-emotional wounds can heal without pharmacology, and we need to address that first. A lot of our physical illnesses can be addressed with psycho-emotional healing, and we need to do that first before we just take drugs and pills. And that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. I don't care. And coaching, life coaching, is a great way to ameliorate the symptoms of negative events in your life. Nobody can deny that. And life coaches work differently. Whereas a psychotherapist has to be very professional, very distant. Life coaches can have personal conversations. As a life coach, it is our life experience that gives us some of our credibilities. It's the been there, done that, got a t-shirt. I've been where you've been. And that's why I think I can help you. You know, I tell the story of losing my first son. I tell the story of seeing 7 of my friends killed in an aircraft accident when I was a military officer. I tell other stories. I tell stories because metaphors are healing. The famous hypnotherapist and medical doctor, Milton Erickson, knew that. Psychotherapists can't tell you their story. They're not allowed to. And so coaching's different. If you want to have a more personal relationship with somebody who can help you get through your stuff, talk to a coach. Talk to a life coach. Try it out. Right? And if you're thinking about becoming a coach, the beauty of being a coach is I have clients in Australia, New Zealand, America, Scandinavia, England. If I was a psychotherapist and I was registered in Ontario, I can only work with clients in Ontario. So I can coach and I can help people around the world. I can help traumatized people ameliorate the symptoms, lower their symptoms, minimize their symptoms all over the planet. And that makes me happy, right? So how do you become a coach? Well, we're doing our next course starting November 15th, Saturday, November 15th. Hey, but registration's still open. If it's something you're interested in, there's a consult link in the show notes below. Book a consult link with Tara. She'll tell you about the course. And if it's applicable for you, it might not be for you. But if you want to help others and you have the capacity to do that, and you've suffered a little bit in your life, and you want to help people overcome the same hurdles you have, take a look at becoming a life coach. And the course is called The Clinical Application of NLP and Neuroscience. And it's 12 weeks. It's rigorous, intense. It comes with 4 certifications, comes with a practicum. At the end of 12 weeks, you can actually work with a client successfully. I guarantee that. All right, and then the next project we have coming is the INSPYRD Beyond Trauma app. This is the ratchet. We're starting to ratchet up the temperature, the volume on the app. It's exciting. This is an app that is based on the leading edge of neuroscience that can be delivered in the privacy of your home at an affordable price, because the bulk of people who are traumatized do not seek help for 2 reasons. First, there's a stigma to admitting you've been traumatized. Nobody wants to admit that they were sexually traumatized. Nobody wants to admit what has traumatized them. Certainly police, fire, EMS, military personnel don't want to admit they're traumatized. When I came home from the Middle East in 1990, I didn't want to tell anybody I was traumatized. My doctor diagnosed me with depression, put me on Prozac, and that was a nightmare. I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole in, but I'm telling you that I got rid of the Prozac and I overcame the trauma. I sleep like a baby, 7.5 hours every night. None of the events that I've already mentioned create inappropriate or unwarranted emotional states. So healing is possible. And I did it through coaching, not through medication, not through pharmacology, not through psychotherapy. I did it with coaching. And I have personally coached people through trauma. So we're putting all of our knowledge in an app. And the soft launch for that app is December 15th. If you'd like to be part of our focus group and get early editions of the app, we would love to engage with you. We're going to ask you in return for some feedback on the app, for testimonials on the app, but we would love for, say, 50 or 100 people to become our focus group. And that we're going to have the soft launch of that app, and it'll be coming out on both the Apple Store and the Google Store. So it's a full mobile app. The cool thing here, amongst many of the things in it, has psychometric assessments. So people will do 3 surveys when they start the process. They'll do 3 surveys when they stop the process. We've got a bunch of other data gathering tools inside for how well they're progressing. The app will become the biggest anonymous database in trauma in the world within 6 months. We will have more data from real world people by May of 2026 than any other database of traumatized people in the world. And this will be a treasure trove of what's holding people back, what progress they can make, how they can make it. This is going to be a gift to research and trauma intervention development that we've never seen before. So that's really exciting. The hard launch for the INSPYRD Beyond Trauma app is going to be January 28th, I think is the actual date, to coincide with Bell Mobility's mental health day where they say, let's talk. And so we'll be pushing hard in the marketing sense in early January to coincide with Bell Mobility's Let's Talk, because that's what we should do, and because healing is going mobile. Now, the techniques inside that app are based in the leading edge of neuroscience, and all the techniques in the app have over a 92% success rate. So what can I say? And it's going to be super affordable for people. So there's no impediment to people getting a program that reduces their symptom and potentially heals their trauma outright in the privacy of their own home at a price they can afford, literally a couple coffees a month. So I'm so excited about that. What else? I'm going to sneeze. So most of you know that I was a military pilot. I have to get my friend to give me my photo here. So I served in the Canadian military for a decade. This is, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is, yeah, there you can see the ring light too. Cool. This is in the Gulf of Aqaba by the Sinai Peninsula, and as part of the Multinational Force and Observers. That's a peacekeeping force that was established in the 80s to maintain the peace between Egypt and Israel. Now, as part of those duties, I flew into Gaza many, many times. I flew the Israeli border between Egypt and Israel every day. So the war in Gaza has been near and dear to me. And I share all of that because next week, November 11th, is Remembrance Day. And so I'd like to take a moment to encourage you to observe Remembrance Day. It seems to be a non-thing these days, which disturbs me to no end. However, I would ask you to take a moment. You don't have to take the whole damn day off. I remember growing up as a kid, we would, at 11 a.m. on the 11th day of the 11th month, we would all quietly assemble. And then at the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we would remember. And I would really, really encourage you to take that moment. Militaries are an unfortunate requirement at times. And those people who serve literally unselfishly and often pay the highest price. And then, of course, their families struggle and suffer thereafter. So please, 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 on November 11th at 11 a.m., make your way to a cenotaph, make your way to somewhere where people are observing and remembering those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. So the last thing, I guess, here is that please, please, please go to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is where we can make the biggest difference. If you know somebody who's traumatized, who's struggling, get them into the YouTube channel. There's interviews with people who have survived human trafficking and who are no longer traumatized. There's interviews with firefighters, paramedics, coaches, clinicians, physicians, whatever. There's a ton of interviews. There's a lot of me on there. If that's driving you crazy, just look for the interviews. I'm joking. I want you to watch me. But anyways, on a serious note, please, please, please subscribe, like, follow. It's important. It allows us to keep going. It tells us we're doing the right thing. Yeah. And on that note, I'll close. I'm super grateful for all the people that joined. I'm super grateful for all the people who have subscribed and watched. And we'll see you in 1 week's time.